What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Fourth and Wrong, Week 2 reaction show. What's going on, Chris? I'm T Huck. That's Chris.
A lot's going on.
Were you stressed this weekend?
Yeah, it was not fun. It was. It was very busy with work stuff, and I haven't had to do this in a while. But
are you back home?
Yeah, I think finally around like the third quarter, I had to. What is going on with my internet?
God.
In like the third, is it fucked up? There's no fucking way.
It's jacked, dude.
Jack, bro. Well, that's weird. All right, what about now?
All right, I think you're good. I think there may be a delay though,
cool.
Or there was before.
All right. Well, so about like probably at the start of the third quarter, or like because like we apparently fumbled the opening kickoff and then they ran it back, and it was like I had to stop working for a minute, and I had to dust off the old dancing shoes and get right back into old me, and panic clean the apartment, and was like pacing a lot. And dude, it was. I tell you what, I was.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
Because I love the panic clean move in a stressful game.
Yeah.
If you start panic cleaning, there's nothing better. It like takes everything away from the game for a second, at least the panic level. Love
some of those years, especially when I'd be working and I was still taking my meds. You get a little Adderall induced deep clean. Like your baseboards are fucking spotless at the end of like a double overtime game. It's amazing. Just amazing stuff.
Who doesn't love spotless baseboards either? You know,
first thing people point out when they come to the house. No, but it reminded me specifically. I was trying to compare it to a game. It wasn't even last year's USF game. It reminded me of the Tennessee game from like 2021, because like that's a game that you go into as like a huge favorite. You fully expect to win. And I remember tweeting out at one point, like going into the fourth quarter, I was like, "Is Bama going to lose to Tennessee? Like, what the fuck is happening right now?" And they ended up winning by like 24 or something. But it was close. It was like, and like, dude, I'm telling you right now, we'll talk about it, like, I'm sure more during the show. Bama obviously won 42-16. If USF had a quarterback that had like remotely any sort of accuracy on the deep ball, Bama would have been down 7 to 10 points for most of that game and may not have even come back.
Yeah. That'll be interesting. We'll talk about that because I wasn't able to watch that game live, but I happened to be with someone who was a Bama fan, and there was we were at the Shane Gillis concert last night, which, by the way, was hilarious because Notre Dame lost like an hour before he got on stage. You know how he's a Notre Dame guy? I was telling the people in my group, I was like, you guys, he's gonna talk all about this Notre Dame loss, and sure enough, he comes out, he's like, dude, it's bad. He's like, if my girlfriend wasn't with me right now, he goes, and I was like, what I would be like during a real game, I would have been crying coming out on the stage. So,
yeah, it was. I mean, dude, it was one of those crazy weekends of college football that we tend to get, but we tend to get later in the year, and then I don't know what was going on, but like,
it feels like it's going to be like a 2007 level season at this point.
It feels like it's too early for that, but like, maybe I was doing a graphic for bowl projections today, and Brad Crawford from 247 Sports had I guess did Liberty lose last night?
Oh, did they? I didn't even see that.
Well, so the new group of 5 at large bid is for Texas State. Texas State could make the playoff. Can you imagine?
That would suck to watch like Texas State and like Texas.
That's the matchup. That's the matchup. Coming live from a parking lot in Galveston. Yeah, it was, dude. It was like it was just a crazy day in general. I feel like because there were some really good games that were on, and I heard a couple people say like they're like, oh yeah, this week kind of sucks. There's like nothing on. And I'm like, dude, next week sucks. Like next week, there's like nothing to watch. This week was like, I thought, another great weekend, start to finish. There was good stuff on like the whole day.
Yeah, there was close games. There were near upsets. There were upsets. There were some. I think thus far we're starting to see separation from a few teams and how good that is the rest of the country. So let's get into it, man. You just want to start kind of like at the noon slate because there were some really good games at the noon slate.
I would like to start there, Tyler. I would, because listen, I've said this before. Text is great, but you know what's even better than that sometimes? Being right about football online, because
yeah,
I was very happy about this because I fucking nailed it.
Yeah, Texas, Michigan, 31-12. I believe your score prediction was 31-13.
Yeah.
So you were wrong.
Yeah, totally.
Total domination. I mean, it wasn't even as close as that.
No.
I mean, I turned on the games at noon and I was excited to get into it. And pretty much from snap one, it felt like Texas just was dominating Michigan.
Yeah. It should have been way worse.
Yeah. Ewers, I thought, looked great. Like, Michigan was in the backfield. I mean, but he was just evading sacks and stepping up in the pocket and throwing dimes. I mean,
did you see how many times that he had to like evade the rush, and or like they were running a play and like, and to Michigan's credit, because Sark is so creative when it comes to like the window dressing and all that kind of shit, like before the actual snap. But there was like a few times I noticed where like they'd be like an orbit motion or something like it coming out of the backfield, or like they would be running like a delayed screen and it wouldn't be open, and Ewers would see that. And I thought he was so good about making sure he didn't waste any throws. Like he would put it near where it was supposed to be, and he would do it quickly. It wasn't like it was a last minute thing and heaving it out of bounds. Like he was so fucking, like, I feel like his decision making was so instantaneous and so good and calculated the entire night. It was awesome.
Did you feel like the game said more about Texas or Michigan or both?
So I would say it confirms everything I thought about Michigan. And, you know, like I think it did open my eyes. I think Texas is a lot better than I thought they would be at certain spots, like that, like the defensive line. They're really, really improved in the back end too. But yeah, I think it was kind of like the biggest takeaway I had was probably me being a little bit selfish here, is that it was a confirmation of what I knew was coming from Michigan and I've known since like the fucking summer. And that's not a place that has replaced talent consistently or had to even do it. And it was amazing to me was the last ditch effort for Michigan, is like the ship was sinking right before Saturday, and like just clinging on for dear life of like, you know what, like that one guy in the pod saying he like, you know, Texas isn't going to score 10 points. It's like, I don't think you guys understand how good the rest of the country can be in football. And, you know, it's also, they haven't had to play opponents like this early on in the season. I brought this up last year. Last year against Nebraska was the first time that Michigan left the state to play a game, I think, in the month of September since like 2019, not including the COVID season, since like 2019. It's insane.
Yeah. This, just watching this game too, it just reminds me that in this like new era with the portal, there are difference makers on Texas now that I just didn't even realize. Like Andrew Makuba, Clemson, like he was Clemson's best DB.
Right.
I think I knew at some point that he transferred to Texas, but I totally forgot. And then in the game, he's making big plays, and I'm like,
he had a pick, right? Like, well, remember last year we got Jalen Catalon from Arkansas, and same position, but he was a big miss. Like he did not have anywhere close to the kind of like production they were hoping for. And then a year later, they got it right.
I think you're starting to see with the transfer portal that it can be very effective if you hit on the transfers, but it could be very detrimental if you don't, because these are your upper class guys now, and they're not really like Florida State. Like that's a huge reason why they're struggling. They're relying on these guys that transferred in that they didn't hit on, at least it seems thus far.
Yeah.
And so you're in a pickle. But like when it works out here, I mean, it's a great addition to a defense that was dominant on the day. You know, to like you said, even the 12 points.
Dude, it made me so fucking mad. That, like, you know what really pissed me off more than anything, Tyler, was not just the backdoor cover. It was my mom just sent me a text and said this was really well stated, and then followed up with another text, and it's a fucking link to a Marjorie Taylor Greene tweet. That's gonna be a tough scene. You know what? I bet it wasn't. I bet it wasn't really well stated. How about that? No, so I what pissed me off more than anything, and I just couldn't believe that somebody said this. Because here's what I didn't understand about Michigan. Like, their downfall makes me very happy just because of the way it's played out. And like the arrogance they've had, and like, because like I get it's again, it's like atheist Auburn. Like Auburn did this in 2010 with Cam, and it was like, back then, like when cheating wasn't allowed, and it would be like, oh, like I was just so consumed with anger towards Auburn because I was like, just fucking admit that Cam got paid money, and we'll move on.
Everyone outside of Auburn was at that time.
Yeah. So then with like Michigan, they just had this weird aura, like, oh, Michigan versus everybody. It's like, no, you were hiring everyone to go scout people, like, so you'd be prepared for everyone. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and the fact that they have a kid, Anthony Orji, quarterback, who is hands down the best athlete on their team. Harbaugh compared him to Milroe last year before the Rose Bowl, and he's the best athlete on that team. And you're choosing to start a walk-on QB, which in this game specifically, it was not working. And the fact that they stuck with this kid, everything about Michigan to me just feels very stubborn and arrogant at the same time. And the quarterback after the game, I don't know his name or whatever, but he had in the post-game press conference, he said that they let him off the hook, that they gave that game away. Keep in mind, they were down 31-6 with like 3 minutes to go in the fucking fourth quarter.
Yeah.
He said they gave that game away.
Inch here, inch there. You just never know. He
said, he goes, we made several, self-inflicted mistakes and blah, blah, blah. And if we don't do that, that game's probably, close to like a one-score game in the fourth. And then who knows? Then who knows what happens? But I was like, what fucking hypothetical land are you living in right now? You were the quarterback. It wasn't like you came in late and started to get things going. No, like you got nothing going at all at any point. That game could have been so much more out of hand. They're lucky that Sark was in a good mood.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think, man, that Texas-Georgia game is going to be very good.
Yeah. Clearly, man.
Some other crazy noon games. So I turn on the Texas-Michigan game, and it's like the worst game on TV because you got Syracuse like beating the shit out of Georgia Tech until the end.
Yeah.
You've got Tulane was like up big on Kansas State, and then Kansas State came back and won, and like Tulane almost scored at the last second. I look, and Bowling Green is beating Penn State. Like
they were in like a fucking like a dogfight with them for like, and it wasn't like a low scoring game. It was like every time Penn State would come back, they would score again.
Right. And then the best game I think of the noon slate, Arkansas Oklahoma State. Yeah,
dude. I had it on the 4 screen on YouTube, and I felt genuinely bad for Arkansas afterwards. I felt like I felt genuinely bad for them because it was like they just did everything possible to fucking blow that game. Everything they could. Like all the bad snaps in the second half. They fumbled a punt. They had multiple 15-yard penalties on the game tying drive. They had multiple 15-yard penalties in overtime.
How about on the tying when they were, let's see, was it the very end of regulation when the guy basically dropped the ball, but it saved them from making just a dumb error by not even being able to pick the field goal?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
It was like I was saying this to somebody else. It was like, I think actually no, I wrote an article about it, and I was like, it wasn't like Clemsoning, because Clemsoning was funny. It was funny to everybody because like Clemson was good enough to where you enjoyed watching them lose, and they were unlikable enough to watch them lose, and it was fun. Arkansas, like nobody dislikes Arkansas unless you have like a weird attachment thing to like that rivalry or something.
Right.
But like no one dislikes Sam Pittman. I know that. And it felt like this was a game where like, dude, they were up 21-0. They were up 21-0. And then Taylor Green gets hit and does a pick six. Like, and even then they kept coming back. And I kept hoping they were going to hang on to win, and they would miss a field goal, and they didn't go for a field goal. And like every single thing they could do to get in their own way, they did, and did it as awful as possible. But it was like, I think I said like Clemsoning was like funny because it was like a Michael Scott type of of failure that you're like, oh, this is uncomfortable, but it's like I'm glad it's happening to you. This is like not the same with Arkansas. Like the thing with Arkansas is just like, oh man, it's like your kid's going through like a goth phase, and you get to send them out to a public high school. Like, don't do this to yourself.
It's a fair comparison. It's gotta hurt your feelings when you average 7.75 yards per play, which is in the 90th percentile of college football thus far this season, and Oklahoma State's at 5.16, which is in the 30th percentile.
Yeah.
And you somehow lose that game. It's tough, man. I mean, you limited Oklahoma State from hitting explosive plays for pretty much all day. I mean, they had a 5% explosive play rate. And I don't know. You think, maybe they're just not deep enough. Like maybe they just got gassed. It's tough to say. I mean, they got unlucky.
No, it was weird. Like the snaps became. We're gonna get to this later. I can't fucking wait. I can't wait to like. It was weird because like the snaps were off, and Green kind of looked like he got a little bit lazy at times in the second half. It was like, I don't know. It was weird, but like the offense looked good. They put up like really good numbers, like you said. I think one of my best bets for Big Pick Synergy was Taylor Green over 225 yards. He did that almost at half. They looked good. The offense looked really good. The defense, like they kept Ollie Gordon in check the whole day, and then but could not get out of their own way. There's also some bullshit like pass interference calls that were made, and it was an SEC crew, which was super weird.
It seemed like Ollie Gordon was just really not happy with anyone on Arkansas's team. Like every time he got tackled, he was just starting fights.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there, but I think, dude, Arkansas is going to be a tough out, I think, this year, like especially as compared to the last few years. I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to be like one of the SEC's better teams, but I think through the first two games, at least you're going to have a dogfight when you're playing defense against them because their offense is good.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I think Bama's a better team, but I feel more comfortable in knowing what Arkansas is after two games, even though they lost one of them. Way more comfortable knowing their identity than Bama's.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. Let's see. Anything else you wanted to break down at the noon slate?
No.
All right.
3:30 was fun, though.
Where would you like to start, Chris, on the 3:30 slate?
Well, let's start out with where I was very wrong in my picks because I did a deep dive of all deep dives, and it made me so happy because all the numbers pointed in one specific direction, and it was that Auburn and Peyton Thorne specifically were going to boat race Cal. And I tell you what, Tyler, in the first 3 minutes, they went right down the field and scored. And then after that, I don't know what happened, but it was really, really bad. And keep in mind, like I had the South Carolina game on because I have to watch that for work and all that kind of stuff now. So I had the volume on South Carolina and I had both screens on, and it felt like every time I looked up the Auburn game, they were like on their own 1 yard line, or Cal had the ball and they were like escaping like on a 3rd and 6 for like 12 yards. It was so like disjointed. Peyton Thorne threw 5 interceptions. I kept saying, I was like, listen, this is a pass defense for Cal. Dude, okay, hold on. Cal a week ago played UC Davis. Okay? Keep in mind, Cal was one of the worst first half teams on both sides of the ball in the country a year ago. They were ranked 111th or worse in scoring offense and defense. Against UC Davis in week 1, they were up 14-13 at the half. But
UC Davis is like, I don't even think they're a good FCS team.
No, they're not. Yeah. They're not. They had 12 less first downs than UC Davis. UC Davis had 16, Cal had 4. They had 109 total yards of offense, which was like 125 less than UC Davis. And, we all saw what Auburn did against Alabama A&M, and also it was coming to Auburn. Cal was like 4-15 in their last 19 games or the last 4 years away from home. And they had to travel to Auburn.
2:30 in the afternoon in September, early September.
Right.
Little hot.
And just fucking took it to them.
I feel like Cal might beat Florida State.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not gonna talk too much shit, but yeah, that was definitely a shocker. I mean, it was Vegas always knows something, man. Like
Yeah.
that line seemed almost too easy, like -13.
In hindsight, it was. It definitely was. I'll tell you what, if you find yourself seeing a line like that, and then you see a bunch of other lines in the same game that feel as easy, maybe you don't put all four of them into your best bets. Diversify your portfolio, man.
Yeah, it always makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Very shocking. Not a good if you bet the Auburn over win total this year, not one you were
No.
expecting to lose. We'll put it that way.
It is weird
Um,
how quickly they turned on Peyton Thorne. Allie tweeted at Hugh Freeze.
oh, yeah.
She
Make sure, especially at this point, do not talk loud.
Oh yeah, very good point. She can hear me. I was cracking up, man. She actually does know the game like really well, and she worked in sports for a long time.
She
And like, what's that?
she like added him on Twitter.
She wrote the tweet about him, and then originally didn't, and then made sure to go back and do it. I was like, as soon as she got back from the bar, I was like, "She tweeted Hugh Freeze?" Like, no, but I mean, she handled it better, I think, than most fans because she is like actually gets it. It was shocking though because her take was very similar to a lot of other people's takes, which was like Peyton Thorne cannot be your starting quarterback moving forward.
Yeah, I thought that in the offseason.
Yeah, thought it last year, right?
Yeah, that was one of the weirder things. Like Auburn's done such a great job recruiting, especially the high school level at the skill positions, but they just decided to stay with Peyton Thorne, who, I mean, what he had like a couple good rushing games last year at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Like, okay, um,
And a
okay,
week ago
so
when he threw all those touchdown passes, everyone was like, "Oh, but who's gonna throw him the ball?" And it was like, "All right, well, fast forward a week later." And
yeah.
like, let's be clear, like them and Bama have a lot of issues that were obviously masked by inferior opponents in week one.
Iowa State. So a bit okay.
No.
So basically, at about halftime of these 3:30 games is when I left to go to dinner and go to Shane Gillis. So I wasn't able to catch most of these games live. I'll rely on you on the gameplay. But when I left, I was up like what? I mean,
They were
13
up like
nothing.
20-7 or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't watch a lot of that Iowa game because it was just it was.
overhit barely.
Did it hit? Oh yeah, because they won 20-19.
Yeah, 30,
Yeah,
39.
they won like a last second field goal. No, but I did watch the other games on at the same time, which was South Carolina and Kentucky.
What was that?
Dude, Shane Beamer owns Mark Stoops. Like owns him.
That was the most surprising game. I mean, obviously Northern Illinois over Notre Dame, which we'll get to, but this was one of the most surprising results of the day to me.
1,000%. Because here's the thing. You could have talked me into them winning that game for sure. They'd won 2 in a row when they had like lesser teams, I think. It wasn't like in Kentucky is not some like unbeatable juggernaut by any means.
No.
But even with the stuff we saw against Old Dominion aside, it was like, dude, what's the strength of Kentucky? It's their front seven. And they're like, I don't know how South Carolina's gonna be able to score. And if you watch the game, like South Carolina scored like early on, I think in their second drive. At one point, going in from like the second to third quarter, you could see Lenore Sellers take a huge step back, and his decision making got worse, and he looked like very nervous. They kept blitzing off the right side of on the right tackle, and he never saw it. And people are like doing some peripheral film shit, like zooming in on his rec specs, like there's no peripheral vision. And so he got dude the 2 of the first 3 plays of the second half because South Carolina got the ball, he got hit on a blitz he never saw coming and fumbled both of them, and they got him back. But it was like he had several passes that were also intercepted. He did throw an interception right before the half that led to a field goal. The defense for South Carolina was awesome. They were awesome all day and kept him into
Brock Vandegrift, 30 yards passing,
1 yard total, 3 of 10. Tyler, at one point, I kept saying this before the season on that show. The defense was going to be really good. I thought the defense could be a top 5 defense in the SEC. And they're really good on the defensive line, and they're really good in the secondary as a unit, but they have their best defensive player, Debo Williams, at linebacker. Dude, Dylan, what's his name? Why
Samson?
can't I think of it? Yeah,
No, Dylan Stewart.
Dylan Stewart, and Kyle Kennard from Tech, and then the kid that went to Florida State and came back. Dude, Kennard and Stewart were co-defensive players of the week in his first start. At one point, Stewart had 3 fumbles forced in his first 5 quarters of college football. The funniest thing I saw all day, because Kentucky ran the ball 18 straight plays at one point. And they asked Mark Stoops afterwards, like, was this part of the game plan? Do you think you're gonna get the ground game going? They're like, no, we couldn't drop back to throw. We could not physically drop back to throw and protect the quarterback. There was one clip where they had 7 guys in to protect. They brought in a tight end and an extra running back when they were trying to get like Brock Vandegrift some extra time. And they had 3 people in front of Stewart, and he still got to the quarterback. Like it was. And so then finally, of course, after I tweeted about it, I was like, they were over 6 on third downs, and Lenora Sellers, he really struggled on third down, especially in the first game of the season. But he came in and he, like, I was like, they had 27 plays since the first drive that they got a touchdown on. Their next 27 plays had 52 total yards. They were averaging less than 2 yards per play. And as soon as I hit send, fucking 32-yard gain and then a 26-yard gain for a touchdown, that was it.
So essentially, you had a large part in this performance.
I felt like it for sure.
Yeah. Very impressive. South Carolina 2-0. Yeah, that one was a shocker to me because Kentucky, like, you go back to week 1 again, Kentucky, I bet on them to cover, and they covered, and I was like, oh, great. It was a late game because it got delayed like 2 hours. I didn't realize that they ended the game and like midway through the third quarter.
Yeah.
And they still won 31-0. And so I was like, damn, I mean, Vandegrift looked good, and 30 yards passing. Right? Still, hey.
3 of 10.
10 yards per completion. Come on, dog.
Okay. It's 3 yards per attempt. So it's like, it was so dominant. Like they were suffocating on defense. And it was, it wasn't like South Carolina was just like going up and down the field on them by any means. It was a very ugly game. And then it felt like, like you could see the entire collapse happening. It was like they had a full on meltdown in front of your own eyes. Like Kentucky had 1 penalty in the first half. They had 10 by the start of the fourth quarter. I think they ended up with 11 overall. And at one drive, they had like 4 plays in a row. They got flagged with a penalty, and they lost 40 yards total on that drive because of plays negated due to penalties. It was like insane.
So the other shocking result at 3:30, Northern Illinois 16.
Oh, yeah.
14. My God.
What the fuck is going on? Like, what were they doing? Like, what was Notre Dame doing?
I really don't know. Look, I mean, I guess maybe they put a ton of prep into that A&M game and maybe didn't take the game.
They still had the lead, and all they had to do was run the clock out, and they were throwing the football.
Oh, see, this is the part that I didn't get to see.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was complete mismanagement of like there's like some Notre Dame fans that feel like that Marcus Freeman is like already done. Like the program is never going to get back to whatever it was. And it's like, I don't know about all that. But what's weird is like the whole thing about Notre Dame fans with Brian Kelly is he can never win the big game. He can never win the big game. Marcus Freeman has 4 losses in 3 years against unranked opponents. The same amount of, I think, losses he has to ranked opponents. It's ridiculous. That's actually a pretty good point from Kirby Smart. This is the best point anyone's made.
Notre Dame fans don't deserve rights. Not in this America.
She's been saying a lot of cancelable things today. So
yeah. By the way, like I think Wisconsin might be pretty bad. So I think there's not much to worry about there. They struggled against an FCS. Did they play 2 FCS teams in a row? Who did they play in week 1? I think
no. In week 1 they played an FBS team. They just weren't any good.
They beat South Dakota 27-13.
Not even South Dakota State.
Oh,
yikes!
How
are you not the good South Dakota?
Yeah.
How did you get the main South Dakota name and then you're not even the good one?
Well, think about it this way: if you're from South Dakota, you've only got one choice at this point as a recruit.
Yeah,
there's no comparison. South Dakota State, 2 straight natties. South Dakota, why would you go there?
Ever.
Think about the guys in South Dakota. Can't be that great. Ole Miss just beat the shit out of Middle Tennessee 52-3.
Dude, Jackson
Lane's
Dart
going all
completed his first 24 passes of that game.
Lane's going all in on getting the Florida job.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, I don't know how accurate that is. Florida. By the way, Florida. Like, listen, the best thing that could have happened to Florida, and the thing that a lot of people I think thought was going to happen deep down, did happen. And DJ Bagwell got a start, and not only did he get a start, but he went the fuck off. It wasn't like he just had a good game. He shattered records for Florida, like freshman records, like overall records. 456 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. I think he was like 72%. He had 9 plays of 20 yards or more, which is the first time in the history of the program that's ever happened. And you know just as well as I do, there is no fucking chance that Billy Napier figures out how to handle the situation correctly moving forward. There's just no way.
I'm just thinking about Graham Mertz right now. It's like I had to
ended his career.
Yeah, he's like concussion. This guy gets to play his first game against Samford.
Yeah, the only team you're favored against
Miami.
And now so bad. Yeah. Oh man.
So you know, we'll probably go back to Mertz at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that scares me a little bit. But what did I say before the season started and then after week 1? Lagway for your job. That's basically Napier's only choice at this point. You just got to play him. And if he goes off and you because I mean, I think Lagway only went there because of Napier,
which is super weird.
Yeah. But if you fire Napier and Lagway's like a baller, I think he's probably going to command quite a figure on the open market and will transfer.
For sure.
So Napier's like, all right, if this kid balls out, maybe he just gives me my job. Yeah. Like Jameis and Jimbo.
Jesus Christ.
Let's see. Scrolling through more here. Kansas.
We got to talk about it at some point.
Kansas lost to Illinois. That's tough.
I don't give a shit. They rushed the field. Illinois rushed the field after beating Kansas.
That's a tough one.
I just assumed.
I don't care if Kansas is number 1 in the country. You're not rushing.
No, you don't ever do that. I just assumed that something happened like from like the last scene of like Rush Hour where a bunch of money was just like falling out of the sky for some reason, and then everyone was rushing down to go get it. Like that's the only reason they should have been on that field.
Yeah. All right. You want to get to it?
The Bama game?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got some problems, buddy.
Yeah. Okay. So I wasn't able to watch the snap, but like I said, one of the people in my group, she's went to Bama, a lifelong Bama fan. She had the YouTube TV up and she was stressing out. She had to turn it off because she was like, I'm not going to be able to enjoy this Shane Gillis set by watching this Bama game.
Yeah.
So what was going on?
Dude, so second straight year, USF is the toughest team on Bama's schedule. Like I jokingly said it on Twitter just to get a rise out of people, and it worked. That they played.
You don't try to get a rise.
There was like this fucking old ass dude, Bobby Wilson, Evan and Kirby know him. He was like, I don't know why this guy's even talking about Georgia right now. Doesn't he only get paid to talk about South Carolina? This is kind of sad, isn't it? And I was like, shut the fuck up, old man. The thing with this game was from the very beginning, it didn't feel like there was any sense of urgency or they were taking anything seriously at all. And USF absolutely was. And they already had a bit of a blueprint to do it because they did it the year before. The offense looked like just disjointed at times. You did have Caden Proctor out, right? And so instead of what they did last week, which was you had 2 guys that were fighting for the right tackle position in camp. You had Elijah Pritchett as a former 5-star, and you had a kid named Wilkin Formby.
Yeah, you never want
the worst fucking name in America. Wilkin Formby?
You'd never want to start a guy named Wilkin Formby on your O-line. Really, at any position. Maybe quarterback.
No.
Kicker?
No. I wouldn't start Wilkin Formby at the fucking Chick-fil-A drive-thru. Actually, I probably would. I bet there's actually several Wilkin Formbys in that drive-thru. So they're showing like the first half, first quarter, whatever. Like USF goes right down the field, and scores. They get does it seem to you that Miller holds the ball? No, it doesn't, because listen, before anyone gets started, because it already somehow translated for everyone else into these are the main takeaways from outside of Bama. that they got all the calls. There were so many missed calls, Tyler. So many missed calls. They were giving Bama, the refs bailed Bama out. Just want to let you know, since you didn't get to see the game, Alabama had 13 penalties for 120 yards. The offensive line
It's not good.
had 9 total penalties. That whole crowd of, oh, Bama never gets called for holding. The offensive line had 9 penalties. Wilkin Formby at right tackle had 4 holding penalties himself.
Did he just get touchdowns all night long off the line?
All night. Oof. There were 3 touchdowns that were called back because of penalties during the game for Bama. So what they did was they took Tyler Booker, who's been like the right guard or left guard the past 2 seasons, and they pushed him out to left tackle, and then they brought in who was essentially like a guy that was, I think he was like one of the lowest ranked recruits on that offensive line coming in, which it doesn't necessarily mean everything, but he wasn't great. I don't even know his name. It's like Vinny Del Greco or something fucking stupid. And he was playing left guard. So then you had
I think he was playing shooting guard for the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, he was Vinny Del Negro. He's really good. He's a project because he's been playing semi-pro ball in Lithuania for 3 years. So then they had Brailsford is the only saving grace on this fucking unit, right? And it was the whole night. They like USF blitzed every fucking down, Tyler. I'm not talking like a ton of exotic blitzes. It was just like, you have 5, we're gonna blitz 6. Like,
and yet I did see that they kicked twice on 4th down within like the 6-yard line.
Who? Yeah,
USF.
Oh yeah, they almost scored several times.
That's not the formula for success if you're a 31.5 point underdog.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, again, if Byron Brown had any sort of accuracy, like on throws over 20 yards, this game would have been, it really might have gotten away from Bama and they might have lost.
Wasn't
because he could have been the catalyst, huh?
Wasn't he supposed to be really good?
Who?
Byron Brown.
I don't know. So was Jalen Milroe and everyone else on Bama's offense and defense.
Wasn't USF quarterback supposed to be really good this year?
Maybe. I thought he was. The defense was really, really good for Bama. It was like the secondary had some lapses at times, whatever, but they held them like 1 of 13, I think, at one point on 3rd downs. The offense, Tyler, I cannot stress you enough how bad it was. It was a flag a fucking minute. It was so difficult to watch because it was pre-snap penalties. It was holding. It was like just really, really dumb shit. And every time you got some sort of breathing room, some stupid shit would happen. And so at one point, they showed the drive chart. Bama had 5 total drives in a row in the second and third quarter for a total of negative 23 yards. 5 drives for a combined negative 23 yards.
That's tough.
Then they finally got down inside like the 5-yard line and couldn't punch it in first two tries. In Kalen DeBoer's offense, they decided to go under center, fumble on the 3-yard line, lose the ball. It was so fucking miserable to watch. Wilkin Formby got his ass kicked all night long. The offensive line, that combination they threw out there, it's just flat out not the right answer. I don't even know. Like, Wilkin Formby was fine in week 1, and he's been great all camp, according to people that know more about stuff like that than me. I'm with you. I would have never fucking started a kid named Wilkin Formby on a Division I football team. But Bama pulled away late. This is like, dude, I don't know what to think, because week 1, it was like, oh, man. Like, the defense is really good. The defense is going to be really good. But, yeah, I don't know how you're going to compete with Georgia. I don't know how you're like, if USF is able to get that kind of pressure, what is going to happen when you play teams that can like just beat you off the line of scrimmage? I shouldn't have said that way. But it was, dude, it was just so, it was so bad. And so what it turned into is like, it was kind of close. And so then it became this like collective hate watch from mainly Georgia fans that were like it turned into how Bama gets all these calls. And, dude, I'm telling you right now, 13 penalties for 120 yards. It was awful to watch. And I tell you what pissed me off more than anything, and I hate to say this because I can feel the tier 3 fan coming out of me. They have to do this stupid fucking in-game interviews. They interview DeBoer and like going into the 4th quarter, and he's like, yeah, we're just making some mistakes right now, and they'll figure it out. It was like he wasn't mad, he was just calm, and maybe that's the mature way to handle things. That's not how I handle anything.
That's the exact total opposite of Saban. So that that's not going to go over well with Bama fans.
I was so annoyed. Let me tell you how irrational I was being. Jesse Palmer and Joe Tess were on the call. Joe Tess follows me on Instagram. I think he's great. Jesse Palmer didn't say one negative thing about Alabama all night. Not one negative thing. Everything he was saying was like teachable moments and things. Every time he opened his mouth, I was like, "Can you shut the fuck up, Jesse Palmer? Just shut the fuck up!" Like, because there was just not a lot of positives to talk about during the game.
Yeah, that's basically how I felt the first 2 games watching Florida State too. Just like they seem uninterested, just going through the motions. It's just nothing more frustrating to watch. But you got a couple weeks to figure it out against Georgia. Go to Wisconsin next week, then a bye. See, maybe it'll get a little better. I'm trying to be positive, buddy.
I gotta block Bobby Wilson before that fucking game for sure.
Let's see. How about Nebraska, Colorado?
What was funniest about this game, Tyler, was I thought it would be closer. I thought it'd be more high scoring. But if you listen to the broadcast, I don't know if Dion is like he's making the hires for who's covering his games. But it is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And we have our own show, so I don't care how this sounds. But it is the most barbershop bullshit of just saying, like, at one point they were like, I mean, yeah, like it's just like the whole country is shocked at what Nebraska is able to do to Colorado right now. I'm like, no, they're not.
Yeah.
No, they're not. This is everyone that watches football knew that this was something that was like this they're capable of doing. And like maybe y'all didn't think it was going to happen because even though they went 4-8, and even though there's a whole fucking sample size of a 12-game season to tell you, hey, they're not that good, you love the fact that Shadur Sanders had like a rap song that came out. He made $5 million, and he does like the wristwatch thing. Travis Hunter is fun to watch. But like before the game, they had Travis Hunter and some like defensive back, I think, that were getting like all pumped up. And I get it, man. Talk your shit, get excited for the game, whatever you got to do to get your mind right. But they were going in the stadium into like the corner end zone. It's like 84,000 screaming Nebraska fans who are also waiting for their fucking like return to glory. Like to get like this was a big, big moment for them on a national stage. And they're just like to the fans, and it's like, this is not the place. This is you haven't accomplished anything.
Right.
This is not 2014 Florida State. Like it's so weird.
Yeah. It's comes straight from the head coach.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, not coincidental that, and look, I mean, I don't love kids getting injured, but Shiloh Sanders gets injured and has to come out for the game. And then their defense is magically like awesome in the second half. Nebraska doesn't score.
Weird. Also, Shadur Sanders leaving the field with 2 minutes left.
Yeah, that's a tough look. You talk all that shit, and then you're down 28-10, and you're like, you know what? I don't want to deal with whatever I got to deal with on the field afterwards. And then he was like basically saying like his O-line sucks. I mean, dude.
Did you? I struggle with this because I'm 38 and like I am trying to sometimes be professional, and so like I don't want to like come off as like a unprofessional or immature by hating on a kid, but I fucking despise this kid. It's like he's just such a shithead. I assumed when I saw the quote, I was like, this has to be taken out of context. Surely he would not have said, as a 22 or 23-year-old man that's been playing football for how long and is like a really good quarterback, surely he would not have said, well, did you guys see that how many times did Raiola get touched? It is so weird. Dude, like all you have to do is just wait until you're fucking out in front of like away from the cameras and then go do what I know you already do anyway, which is go sit with Travis and your dad and your brother and talk all the shit about everybody else on the team that doesn't get the same breaks as you, doesn't have the same last name as you. Just wait 12 minutes when the media is not around to go do it.
No, can't do it. Not impossible, really. So this is why, it's everyone wants to boil it down to like being a racial thing when people try to hate on Shadur Sanders. And it's like, guys, this is the stuff. Is you go out and you talk all this shit, you get your ass beat on the field, you leave before you even have to shake hands with anybody.
Right.
And then you talk shit on your own O-line. This is the stuff. And I mean, ridiculous, dude. It's not like this is why everybody wants to transfer out of Colorado, by the way.
his dad is most likely not going to be on staff when he goes to the NFL. He may very well be a first round draft pick, and if he is, great. Like, good for you, man. But I just, from everything that I know about the way the draft process itself works, and the way they scrutinize quarterbacks over every little fucking thing, and you got to take a Wonderlic test for no reason, and then you got to sit down with people in front of a whiteboard, go over plays, and the John Gruden shit. It's like everything's under a microscope, and they try to find as many things. It's like running for office. They try to find as many little things about you that no one else knows, just to get into the deepest parts of learning who you are. And this dude is he's fucking me on Twitter 2 or 3 years ago, just fucking, here's every bit of trauma I can dump in front of you at all times. It's so bad.
I think it'll be good for him to go to the NFL and not play for his dad.
I don't know if it would be. I think that honestly what will end up happening is that his dad will get a job in like the fucking XFL, and then he'll leave the NFL to go play that.
That's actually a very good prediction. So yeah, Nebraska, congrats to their fans.
Yeah.
2-0. A lot of hype around the team now. You got Raiola. So that'll be fun to watch that story play out this year. Other night games before we get to the big one of the night. Ohio State beat the absolute shit out of Western Michigan. Tuned in when I was at Gas South Arena. I was just like, let me check some scores here. Halftime, Clemson has 56 points against App State.
Oh yeah, I wasn't going to say that, but
I was like, Jesus, dude.
Yeah, I mean, like, so
3 points against Georgia in the entire game, and they put 56.
What do we know? Either Georgia is crazy good, which they probably are, or I mean, I don't know, like that kind of offensive output. I tell you, at the very least, we don't say a lot of positive things about Dabo. It feels like at the very least, he got out of his comfort zone and like beat the shit out of somebody. Like, yeah. Sometimes people want to see that.
Yeah, open it up a bit, maybe.
Yeah.
So
the other 7:30 game, which was, I hate that it's coming true, but it feels very, very evident, very obvious. I said it against UT Chattanooga, and of course Georgia fans specifically got all upset about it, and they were like, "This is UT Chattanooga. See when they play somebody." Well, Tennessee went on the road.
Where's the clip? I'm gonna clip that and make that a drop.
Tennessee went on the road, played a top 25 opponent with like a 6-year starting quarterback and a team that was considered going into the season potentially a dark horse for the playoff, that could potentially be a dark horse to win the ACC. They beat Clemson a year ago. They're like a 9-win type program under Dave Doran at times. And Tennessee physically dismantled NC State. And like, you look at the score and the box score, and it's 51-10. And the crazy part is, one, we're starting to expect that out of Heupel teams. And then two, the casual fan that didn't watch the whole game for whatever reason, because it was never a game, doesn't realize that like that game could have been way worse. And NC State scored 100. They scored 3 total offensive points on a field goal. The touchdown they scored was a defensive pick 6. They also threw a pick 6. And I think, hold on, I wrote about this earlier. I got to find it real quick. There was their drive chart at one point in like for the whole game. They were held to 143 total yards of offense and only 27 yards in the second half. 27 yards. You were already up on them big, like 23 at the half. You want to talk about putting your fucking foot on someone's throat? This is their drive chart. This is their actual drive chart for NC State for the whole game. Punt, field goal, pick 6, punt, fumble, turnover on downs, fumble, turnover on downs, punt.
Yeah, tough to win ball games that way, for sure.
It's almost impossible.
Yeah, man, that's and look, you could say, like, I see a lot of people in the chat saying NC State isn't good on offense, all that, which is probably true. But I mean, NC State typically is a very good defensive team, and you just put up 51 on them, yes, with a pick 6. But I mean, I think you should be scared of a Tennessee team under Heupel that's got a really good QB and a defense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good combo for him and his offenses. So,
dude, they won 51-10, and Nico threw 2 picks.
Yeah, he wasn't even that great on the night.
No.
Yeah. So Tennessee, obviously, shout out to them. Good win. Dylan Sampson, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. That kid looks really good. Um, Oklahoma was a 31-point favorite over Houston. They won 16-12.
Yeah, they look like shit. And everyone that got all mad at me about putting Jackson Arnold like wherever I put him in QB rankings can suck my dick, because that was a ridiculous well, it's not his fault that he had a short field to work with. And then you see this game against Houston, who is one of the worst, probably the worst Power 4 team in the country. Like honestly, probably the worst Power 4 team in the country.
Yeah.
You beat them by 4 points, 16-12.
I didn't even know that was possible.
That's a JV basketball score. You had to quit because there was like a fucking fire alarm went off. Jackson Arnold, I think, had 5.2 yards per attempt again. Like it was the second straight week. But yeah, that's the one I want to talk about before we get into like the actual the voicemails. This is a question that I think a lot of teams are going to have to answer. Like, who is good right now? Like, who is good? Bama was good one week. They were really bad the next week. Auburn, same thing. We kind of talked about that earlier. I think we kind of knew Michigan was Michigan. Penn State, are they any good after what we saw against Bowling Green? They're like Missouri moved up to number 6, but like they don't fucking play anybody.
Yeah.
Oregon has looked very bad in both of their games and got very fortunate in this game. They were at home against Boise State. It seemed like the perfect spot for a bounce back game. Dude, Boise State has a good running back, but they ran all over him at times.
Dude, Dylan Gabriel's running back is a beast.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good. But Oregon might just not be good.
It's a 2-game sample set, but yeah, I was expecting a lot more. You won by 10 against an FCS school last weekend, and then you beat Boise State by 3 at home. I think Boise State is probably pretty good on offense, but good Lord, man. There were some weird scores this weekend for sure.
Dude, hold on real quick. Oregon had to get a punt return for a touchdown to go up late in the fourth. They were down 20-14 at halftime. This offense has Trayshawn Holden at receiver. It has Tez Washington at receiver, right? And then it has Evan Stewart at receiver.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, they have all the talent. So I tweeted this out last night. Like, maybe it's very early, but maybe Dan Lanning is like opposite day Dan Mullen, where that guy can recruit the shit out of high school and the portal, whatever else. And I think he's not like a bad coach, but like we've seen more often than in big moments since he's been the head coach, they aren't always prepared, and they do have I think the best roster. Like here's the thing that does concern me for Oregon. I don't think that the Big Ten is necessarily better than the Pac-12 was a year ago. I do think it's tougher than every other year the Pac-12 has been around. So, you don't get to go hide behind being at Cal, at Arizona State, Colorado. Like, you don't get to hide in those games as much if you're Oregon.
Right. Yeah.
Ohio State's coming.
Yeah. Maybe they've been putting a lot of prep into that game and not enough into these games. We'll see.
No.
Liberty ended up winning, by the way. They scored 21 points in the fourth quarter to win by 6. Arizona State's kind of been a surprising team this year. I'm just looking at the late games now. They beat Mississippi State 30-23.
Did you see the kid, their best player?
Scatabo?
It's a white kid. This kid looks like he fucking steals copper in his spare time. This kid had 265 yards rushing. He had 265. His name was like Rhett Scatabo, and they kept saying it just like that.
Oh God, Scatabo,
dude, that guy would have been. Damn. I guarantee you, if he was born 100 years ago, we would have trophies named after him. Like that, he would be fucking Jim Thorpe and Red Grange. Whoa, Roy Scatabo. Like it was incredible. It was incredible.
Cam Scadabo, I don't know if you've ever watched Big Cat play NCAA football, but it sounds like a name that he would make up for one of his players, Cam Scadabo.
For sure.
All right, we got a bunch of calls this weekend. We chose 10 or so to play here tonight on our Angry Fans hotline. If you are not familiar, you're a new listener, and we've got 680 people watching live now, so we appreciate that. We're live every time we record on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So Fourth and Wrong, check us out. This first guy that called in, he's an Indiana fan, which I didn't know he had. But
hey guys, it's Walker calling from Columbus, Ohio. However, I'm a diehard IU fan. Go Hoosiers. Just want to say shout out to Chris for his absolute drone strike of a rant on Michigan this past episode. It was a thing of beauty. Fuck Michigan, the most entitled, whiny fan base you can possibly find. You were absolutely on point with that. I was so sad when Alabama couldn't beat them last year in the playoffs. Keep on doing what you're doing. Love the show. Thanks.
That's awesome.
That guy called. He called on Friday night. That was before Michigan got their ass beat. He just wanted to let him know.
I really liked that. That he seemed like a very pleasant person.
Well,
not just he was saying nice things about him.
Okay. All right, and then here are the calls from Saturday. So we will start here with somebody who was about to watch Bama play.
What's up, Uncle Chris? What's up, T Huck? Bama Bo here. Yeah, it's move-in day for me, so I haven't watched any football at all. Bama starts here in about 7 minutes, so I'm trying to hurry the hell up and at least catch that game. I haven't seen anything, so I'm going to need a fully loaded pod from you guys this week. The only thing I did get was a notification just now that Notre Dame lost, so a little concerning there. Remember the little Marshall hiccup? I guess they're still there, so who knows? Roll Tide, and see you guys hopefully Sunday.
So that was Bama Bo. He did call later in the show as well. We'll get to that. All right, we had someone call in from Knoxville, Tennessee here.
Oh, this is your boy TriStar calling from beautiful Calhoun's on the river in Knoxville, Tennessee, getting ready to watch Tennessee versus North Carolina State. Well, I got to tell you, man, Notre Dame, what was that? You go to Texas A&M and look great. I started picking you in a lot of games. I was like, you know what? Notre Dame's going to be a really good team this year. And you completely shut down your own leg and you embarrassed me in front of God and everything.
In front of God.
And then secondly, Auburn, what was that? In front of all those great recruits, in front of Deuce Knight, who you're trying to flip from said Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And you go out and lay that egg to the point where I was informed that Deuce Knight went to one of the recruiting coordinators and told them, and I quote, "I am not coming to this shithole."
There's no way that's true.
There's no way that.
Thirdly,
he's not done. Thirdly,
what was that? Y'all are supposed to be this physical team, and you let South Carolina run through you like shit through a tin horn. Listen, Gerald Mincy was running his mouth all offseason to Tennessee fans and all that stuff. You know, he transferred from us to Kentucky, and he goes out and does that. That was just embarrassing. And fourthly,
let's go.
You know, I think this is just going to show that this week is a week-by-week basis to where, you know, it's just it goes by week, and you don't know how your team's going to perform. And now I hope and pray that my beloved Tennessee Volunteers don't fall into that trap, because NC State is a pretty good football team, even though that they did struggle against Western Carolina.
This guy's informed.
Before.
I'm going to say that.
Now, I will let y'all have this. And also to Colorado, go to hell. And I hope Nebraska kicks the living dog shit out of you, dumb son.
Okay, cut it off. Here, let me ask. I want, if TriStar is still here, I want to ask a very serious question.
TriStar started getting really angry there towards the end.
So that was a great call. He said a lot of very insightful and I think accurate things. Every other interaction I've ever had with him, his whole shtick is that the SEC is not Mizzou. Like it'll start with like, yeah, and I don't think Texas and Oklahoma should join. I'm like, yeah, I agree, brother. And then it's like, and actually another thing, Arkansas ain't a part of this thing either. They should be in the fucking Southwest Conference. I'm like, what are we talking about now? Like, what's going on? And another thing, they better build that fucking wall outside of Missouri. So, but that was great. Like, you should tap into that more because I would listen to that.
So you've met TriStar?
I think we've talked on Twitter.
Oh, all right, cool. Believe this one looks like it's about Ole Miss. We might have kicked this one early. I don't know. We'll see.
T Huck, Uncle Chris. I'm calling back here. I called last week about the Revs kicking Furman's ass last week. We're kicking Middle Tennessee's ass this week. It's 52-3 with like a minute and 30 to go. We're just kicking everyone's ass. I can confidently say Ole Miss will beat the Georgia Bulldogs in November.
I love it.
Without a doubt. Fuck Georgia.
Without a doubt.
Fuck Bama too, Chris.
Yeah, fair. I mean, that's fair.
I love it. So my man is confident.
Yeah, that's a good point. Chris said, "What's the accent?" That was an interesting accent. That was good. Fuck Bama too,
yeah.
Chris.
Yeah, that was good. All right, here we started getting some UGA calls around 8 p.m. last night.
For what?
Yo, Uncle Chris, T Huck, what's up, fellas? It is your boy Miller time here. Just hanging out, enjoying my Saturday evening. I wanted to call and rant a little bit. Not about my Georgia Bulldogs. I took care of business today. Wasn't perfect, but looked good. No, I want to talk about the fucking phony ass just couldn't win a fucking game if his life really depended on it. Mark fucking Stoops. Just costing me so much money. So much money today.
I knew it was gambling related.
Kentucky is ridiculous, and Georgia's going to slaughter them next weekend. I hoped it would at least be somewhat of a challenge to get them up for Bama. So, yeah, there's that. Also, Hugh Freeze is a fraud, but every single person with a brain knew that. Anyways, as always, go Dogs, and keep up the good work, fellas.
Appreciate it, Miller Time. Thanks for calling in. Next caller seems to be a bit of a Peyton Thorne fan. I'm not sure if this guy's name's Joseph. I was thinking it could be Howie.
Okay.
Hey, this is Joseph. I've had a few hours to soak in the disaster that Peyton Thorne did, and after 4 picks, please put in fucking Hank Brown. Oh my God. Just how? Thank you.
Dude, I honestly, like, that seemed to be the resounding thing. People were like, he's got to go. I thought he just had, I've been drinking for a few hours. That was fine.
You know, can we just please see Hank Brown? Please.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
All right. We got 4 more here. This is Bama Bo calling back midway through Bama game.
Okay.
What's up, guys? It's Bama Bo again.
Very different already.
Like midway, third quarter of the Bama game. I'm tired from moving, dude. All I'm telling you is I've got a mattress on the floor, my TV's on the floor, and my wife's not even here.
And
I think I'm watching a rerun from last year in the South Florida game. I want to say it looks the exact same. I've never seen. Oh my God.
That's the perfect way to describe it,
bro. I don't know. I'm tired and I'm trying to stay awake, and it's only 9:22. What happened?
Yeah. So some frustrated Bama fans.
Yeah.
In fact.
Oh no.
Let me see here. I think there's another call here for Bama. Let's see.
Marler, T Huck, boy Logan.
Logan.
First,
they called separately this time.
Out there. I don't give a fuck about the 3-minute ordeal for this voicemail. I ain't sure how long it's gonna be. First things first. Whoever the fuck number 57 is needs to get out of there for Alabama. I've never seen such poor. Well, actually, I had everybody on the offensive line. I don't know what happened, what changed, but
hold on, pause it real quick.
Yeah, he's in the backwoods of Alabama driving around.
So, but he's not wrong about what he said. I kept saying that, like, if this is like you had to start this group of 5 in this game because Caden Proctor's out and whatever, then that's fine. That's fine. But like, it seems weird that Elijah Pritchett, who started left tackle a week ago, and then Tyler Booker, who is your best lineman and is a first-round draft pick, I don't know why you would put him out at left guard or left tackle, because he still struggled there instead of having Pritchett in. So then, Tyler, they brought Pritchett in for like the final 6 plays of the game. They scored on 3 of them. Like, what? Why are you doing this to me for fucking 2.5 hours until you're like, oh, by the way, this is easy the whole time?
It's all about you.
It is all about me.
All right, you want to do one more?
Yeah, I'll go to bed.
Yeah, somebody called us at 7:50 this morning. So
this morning,
yeah.
Hey man, Marler, T Huck. It was a great week too. I'm calling you on a Sunday morning. I'm on the way to church to repent for my sins from yesterday. Jesus tells us to love our enemies, and man, I really hate Notre Dame, and I revel in their loss. I'm probably going to keep doing that.
Yeah, that's fine.
My question, though, this is Mitch from Georgia, by the way. My bad. It's not about Georgia. I'm curious what you guys think about what is going on in Columbia, bro. Has South Carolina just gotten it together?
No.
Is Kentucky that bad? South Carolina's in a rock fight with Old Dominion last week. Probably should have lost that game.
Yeah.
And then they easily handle Kentucky this week. Like, is Kentucky that bad? I don't know, man. I'll hang up and listen. I just want to hear what you guys think. Love the show, guys. Glad we're back. See ya.
I can tell that we're growing up because one of my high school buddies, Tyler Bridges, reached out about. I forgot. I don't think I sent you this yet. I should have sent you this 3 days ago. He reached out about his law firm sponsoring the pod.
Oh,
like, I'm laughing because I'm looking at a graphic we made that says "Angry Fans," like the OnlyFans font.
Yeah. Switch it while we're talking about
I can tell that we're growing up because we're not getting as many people calling late night that are drunk. Like, I think we will as the season goes on.
We definitely.
But right now it's like, people still have hope, and you're on your way to church. That part's pretty funny. All right, so the thing about South Carolina, I think it's like a perfect case study in terms of the dangers of overreacting from week to week, and that's kind of like what makes what we get to do fun at times. But if you're trying to like objectively look and accurately assess what a team is going to be for the whole year, it's really hard to do that on a week-to-week basis. And like the Old Dominion thing, they should have lost that game. Dude, like they had 2 fumbles inside the 10-yard line. Like, it just no reason to lose that. No reason for them to have won that game, and they did. The other thing is that as bad as that one was, there were signs of this thing that could have happened at Kentucky because – like, I think I brought it up in this show and then also the Locked On show, which is the path to winning was winning the turnover battle, because Mark Stoops is like, I think he's like 1-6 over the past 2 years against Power 5 teams when he loses the turnover battle. Score first, like Carolina's in the last 2 years in a row when they beat him. Mark Stoops is like 3-10 in his last 13 games when he doesn't score first. He's 9-2 in the last 11 when he does. And it was just, it's stuff like that. Like, if you can figure out a way to not make more mistakes, and they didn't, like I don't think that's the best game Carolina has played, but defensively, like I'm saying, like for the season, but defensively, they did everything that they were supposed to do and needed to do, and they did it at the highest level, like getting the ball back, getting to the quarterback, all that kind of stuff. The scary part is for both sides is South Carolina had 252 yards of offense, and they were still really, really bad on third down. And Sellers was bad for like probably half of that game. And so if they play like that without the defensive help, or they play against a good team, they could lose. But if they put the whole thing together, like they might have a really good season.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. There's a lot of interesting storylines that are starting to bud out of week 2, and I'm excited to see. I do think that in this new era of like transfer portal, NIL, all the stuff that surrounds all the off the field stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to see these crazy weeks where just a team is going to look totally different. It just feels like that's the way it's trending. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Week 3, it doesn't look great on paper, but I guarantee there's going to be something crazy that happens. So we'll be there to cover it. Thanks for tuning in. Again, if you want to get your voicemail played on the podcast, call into the Angry Fans hotline, 770-674-8233. Thanks to the nearly 900 that were in here tonight.
Hey,
appreciate it.
Also, real quick, we're like five total subs on YouTube away from being able to go to the next step, whatever, monetizing stuff. And I know that we have like double that at least every episode that listens. So just get 5 of you to fucking go on there and sub and leave us a 5-star review. You guys know that I thrive off validation and Celsius, so would love one of those things.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm Tyler. That's Chris. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. See ya.